Title 4: Nightmare Monsters of Greek Mythology. Modern science can't explain. Hook, long before science had names for the things that terrified humanity, the ancient Greeks gave them faces. Half-woman, half-serpent, hundred-handed giants who shook the heavens. A grieving mother turned into a child-eating shadow, and voices so beautiful they could kill. These were not simple fairy tales. They were warnings, carved into memory by people who believed something monstrous truly lived at the edge of the map. Every civilization has its nightmares, but the Greeks did something different. They didn't just fear the dark, the sea, or the unknown wilderness beyond their cities. They gave those fears bodies, voices, and names. Deep in caves where no sunlight touched the walls. Along coastlines where ships vanished without a trace. In the quiet space between a mother's grief and her rage. There, the Greeks believed monsters were born. 4 of them still echo through history, not because they were the strongest or the most violent, but because they represented something deeply human. A fear of betrayal, a fear of the sea, a fear of loss, and a fear of losing control to something achingly, dangerously beautiful. This is the story of Echidna, the Hecatoncheires, Lamia, and the Sirens. Beasts so vividly imagined that, thousands of years later, we still feel a chill saying their names out loud. Picture a cave, half-lit, deep beneath a mountain somewhere in Arcadia. The air is damp and still. No birds sing here, no travelers pass. This, the ancient Greeks whispered, was the lair of Echidna. She was said to be strikingly beautiful from the waist up, dark-eyed, dark-haired, deceptively gentle in appearance. But below the waist, her body dissolved into the thick, scaled coils of a serpent. She rarely showed herself. She didn't need to. Her legacy did the terrifying work for her. Echidna was called the mother of all monsters, and the title was not an exaggeration. According to legend, she bore the Chimera, a fire-breathing hybrid of lion, goat, and serpent. She bore Cerberus, the 3-headed hound who guarded the gates of the underworld, so no soul could ever leave. She bore the Hydra, a serpent whose heads multiplied the moment one was severed. Even the Sphinx, the riddling terror of Thebes, was said to be her offspring. She rarely left her cave, content instead to let her children terrorize the world above. In many ways, that made her more disturbing, not less. A being who could produce that much devastation and still choose the shadows. To the Greeks, Echidna represented something primal. The horrifying idea that monstrosity could be inherited, that darkness could breed more darkness, generation after generation. And in a world without genetics or biology to explain deformity, disease, or cruelty passed through bloodlines, Echidna became the answer no one wanted to say out loud. She was eventually said to have been slain in her sleep by the 100-eyed giant Argus. But her children lived on, scattered across Greece like seeds of nightmare. In many ways, she never really died at all. She simply kept multiplying, in myth and in fear. Before Zeus ever ruled the sky, the world was ruled by something older and colder, the Titans. And even they had something they feared. Deep within the earth, imprisoned in the suffocating dark of Tartarus, 3 brothers were said to exist. Cottus, Briareus, and Gyges, each with 50 heads, each with 100 powerful arms. Imagine the sound alone, 100 hands slamming stone at once. 100 fists capable of hurling entire mountains as if they were pebbles. The earth itself was said to tremble at their movement. The Titan king Cronus feared them so deeply that he had them chained beneath the world, buried far from sunlight, far from freedom, terrified that their raw, overwhelming strength could end his reign before it even began. For untold years, they sat in darkness, forgotten, suppressed. Until the day the gods needed exactly the kind of terrifying power no one else could offer. When Zeus rose to challenge the Titans in a war so catastrophic it was said to shake the foundations of existence, he freed the Hecatoncheires from their prison. And in return, they unleashed devastation the world had never witnessed. Mountains were ripped from the earth and hurled through the sky like weapons. The very air was said to scream. With their impossible strength, the war tipped in favor of the younger gods. The Titans fell. And fittingly, it was the same 300-handed giants who were given the grim duty of guarding their former captors, now imprisoned in the same abyss that once caged them. The lesson embedded in their myth is unsettling, even now. Sometimes the most terrifying power isn't cruelty. It's raw, unstoppable force, kept hidden away, waiting only for the right moment to be unleashed. Not every monster began as one. Long before she was feared, Lamia was said to be a queen, admired for her beauty, and secretly loved by Zeus himself. But that love came with a price no mother should ever have to pay. When Hera, consumed by jealousy, discovered the affair, her fury didn't fall on Zeus. It fell on Lamia's children. One by one, they were taken from her. Grief, the Greeks believed, could hollow a person into something unrecognizable. And Lamia's grief transformed her entirely. Her once beautiful form twisted into something monstrous, serpentine in places, hollow-eyed, driven by a pain too vast to contain. Unable to sleep, cursed to relive her loss endlessly, she became something the ancient world used to explain its own darkest fears. Parents whispered her name to children at night, not as folklore, but as warning. Lamia, they said, prowled in darkness, drawn to the cries of infants, a shadow born from unbearable sorrow that had curdled into something dangerous. Whether or not the story was ever meant to be taken literally almost doesn't matter. What it reveals is far more chilling. The ancient Greeks understood that trauma could reshape a person entirely, that suffering left unchecked could echo outward, generation after generation, becoming something that frightened even those who had nothing to do with the original wound. In Lamia's myth, monstrosity isn't born from evil. It's born from heartbreak, twisted by time into something the world could no longer recognize as human. Not all monsters needed claws or venom. Some needed only a voice. Along jagged, fog-covered cliffs where the sea met unforgiving rock, sailors whispered of a sound so beautiful it could unravel a man's will entirely. The Sirens. Half woman, half bird in the earliest tellings, they were said to perch along the shoreline, singing melodies so perfect, so hypnotic, that ships would drift helplessly toward the rocks, their crews entranced beyond reason. It wasn't violence that made the Sirens terrifying. It was seduction. The promise of something irresistible, wrapped around a warning too tempting to heed. Sailors who heard their call were said to lose all sense of danger, steering willingly toward their own destruction, smiling as the rocks tore their ships apart. In the most famous tale of all, the hero Odysseus, desperate to hear their legendary song and survive it, ordered his crew to plug their ears with wax while he alone was bound tightly to the mast. As the ship passed, the Sirens' voices rose, and Odysseus strained against his ropes, begging to be released, aching to follow that impossible sound to his death. His crew, unable to hear a single note, rowed on, and the ship sailed safely into the horizon. The Sirens endured in myth not because of blood or claws, but because they represented something the Greeks understood all too well: that the most dangerous temptations rarely look dangerous at all. Sometimes they sound like music. Four monsters, 4 very different kinds of fear. Echidna, the horror of inherited darkness. The Hecatonchires, the terror of overwhelming, unstoppable power. Lamia, the tragedy of grief transformed into something monstrous. And the Sirens, the danger hiding inside temptation itself. None of these creatures were ever meant to simply frighten children before bed. They were mirrors, reflecting the deepest fears of an ancient world, trying to make sense of loss, power, betrayal, and desire. And yet, thousands of years later, their shadows still stretch across our stories, our films, our nightmares. Because monsters like these were never really about scales, claws, or serpent tails. They were about us. History never truly disappears. It simply waits, coiled in the dark, for someone to tell its story again. If this journey into ancient nightmares pulled you in, consider subscribing for more explorations into the myths that shaped civilizations. And tell me, which ancient monster or lost legend should we bring to life next?